Everybody has opinions. Everybody knows how something should be done, how someone else should run a business, how someone else should lead, how someone else should volunteer, how someone else should fix a problem, how someone else should build, manage, parent, coach, or show up. But having an opinion is cheap. Building something costs you. Costs you time. Costs you sleep. Costs you comfort. Costs you money. It costs you a reputation. Because once you actually build something, people can judge it. And that's where most people stop. They would rather critique from the stands than put their name on the scoreboard. So tonight, I want to talk about building the damn thing. The world has plenty of critics. Criticism is everywhere. Everybody has a comment. Everybody has a better idea. Everyone knows what should have happened after the decision has already been made. Hindsight's 20/20. It's easy to say at that point, isn't it, when somebody else has already made that decision? But criticism without responsibility, that's the easy part. A critic doesn't have to carry payroll. A critic doesn't have to sit in the meeting. Leadership is not just having the right opinion, it's accepting the weight of the decision. Because it's amazing how clear everything looks when you're not the one who has to sign the check. When you're not the one who has to make the decision. When you're not the one who has to live with the consequences. Because there's useful criticism and there's lazy criticism. Useful criticism helps improve the thing. Lazy criticism just makes the critic feel smarter than the builder. We've all experienced that once or twice in our lives. Somebody's watching you and saying, you should have done it this way. Or, boy, that really got screwed up, huh? Bet you wish you did it this way. Easy to see, easy to say, easy to do. But what about the courage it took to try? Nobody talks about that. Nobody cares about that. So focused on the results that the path to get there is irrelevant. There's steps that are taken every day that have effects on every decision. Yep, easy to be the critic, easy to be the one who has something negative to say or how you could have done it better. And in construction where I live, a lot of my time, builders don't always get to stay theoretical. A lot of times we say it's easy to draw that straight line on the paper. It's a lot harder to build it out of concrete and wood and steel out in the field on the ground that's not flat and is not smooth. But the biggest critics are the ones who draw that straight line on the paper, aren't they? They are the judge and the jury in a lot of cases. The contractor, the builder, they have to choose. They have to start before everything is perfect. A lot of times we're making decisions without complete information. And we just take a shot, knowing that it might not work. Yeah, it just comes with the territory, but it's real. And again, nobody thinks about that. It's true in business. It's true in family. It's true in your social life, in your volunteering if you do that. It's true for me at camp. It's true in anything worth leaving behind. And when you're the person, when you're that tip of the sword, when you're that first person going through, it means that there's always a chance that you're going to look stupid. And I've looked stupid lots of times. I really don't care anymore. I used to. I used to always want to get it right the first time. I used to always want to be perfect. That struggle for perfection. It's unattainable. But it consumed me for a while. It had to be perfect. Had to be perfect. Of course, there were other people in my life telling me that it had to be perfect. It had to be perfect. Now, looking back, I can say without a doubt that it didn't have to be perfect, but a decision had to be made to keep moving forward. But that's why people hesitate, right? You could get it wrong. There's a 50-50 chance you're going to get it wrong. But once you build something, the people instantly come out of the woodworks and say, that's not how I would have done it. That could have been better. And I'm a terrible person for this, but I'll go into restaurants and I'll do this. I'll look around at the finishes in a restaurant. And my wife gets on me all the time. And I'm not like pointing it out. I'm not, pointing up there and say, look at that, anything like that. But I, discreetly look around and I look and I say, are all these lines lining up? Is that ceiling grid spaced out the right way? And that's one of the things, my pet peeves, is when the ceiling grid is not perfectly spaced. They hold one of the T-bar pieces closer to the wall on one side of the room than they do on the other. Oh, that drives me crazy. But and I admit it. I'm a critic when it comes to that. But people say that didn't work, or that wasn't enough. But the builder can say something that the critic cannot. The person who's building it can say, I actually tried. I tried. I tried my best. I tried to make it look the way that the plan showed it. I tried to make it look the way that it was intended to look. And that can be in construction. It can be in your company, in your business. It can be in your family. There's a lot of truth to that phrase that I tried. And I think those people get, or deserve to get, more respect than the people who are simply sitting back criticizing every move that those people who tried made. Because that's the easy job. That's the cop out. Well, should have done it this way. Hey, you know what? I didn't see you out there doing anything. And I experience this a lot right now in my volunteer role with camp and everything. I've only been doing this for 12 years, so I don't know everything. But I know what I know, and I know what works. And I'm the person out there trying. Yeah, there's a village that makes it happen, but we're all trying. But honestly, building's messy, right? Building something rarely feels clean or inspirational while you're doing it. It's usually frustrating. You're putting in hours and hours of work. Plans change. People let you down, which is the worst. Budgets move. Schedules fall apart. You make a call And then new information shows up. We just had this happen. Just had this happen on a job. We started digging the ditches and based on the information we had, the best information we had, and then 2 days later, brand new plan comes out. Rerouted the pipes. All that work gone. You lose time when that happens. You lose dollars when that happens. That decision based on the best information you had that you made is wrong. And then you get the call. Why'd you do that? We always knew we were going to change it. Well, you didn't tell us that, did you? Nope. Or you fix a problem and then you uncover 3 more. And it's not failure, it's a process. A lot of people think building means having a perfect vision and executing it exactly. And it couldn't be farther from the truth, because real building goes a little bit like this. You start out. You come up with an idea and you start drawing it on a piece of paper. Or you write it down, what it might be. You make a plan, and it could be an architectural plan if you're in construction. It could be a business plan if you're starting a new business. It could be a life plan if you're starting a new family. But you start with a plan. And inevitably, that plan changes and gets adjusted, because you know what? Life doesn't just happen the way that you want it to happen. It comes up and it'll punch you in the mouth. It'll flat sock you. You'll be down on the ground and you're going to have to pick yourself up, and that plan that you had is no longer the plan. It just got knocked out. But you adjust again. You get back up. You keep moving forward. You keep going. Because building something isn't sitting on a mountaintop with this perfect vision. Anybody can do that. Oh, man, here's my utopia. Here's my utopia out there. This is how exactly I want the world to look. I want it to be sunset skies over amber fields of grain, blowing in the wind as it rustles back and forth while I'm sitting in my rocking chair on the top of a mountain. My utopia. Good grief. That is not how it happens. Because most of the time, when you're building something, when you actually getting your hands dirty, you're standing in the mud trying to figure out why the plan didn't survive through Monday morning. The plan that you came up with Sunday night. And a lot of times it's probably Thursday a week before, but it lasted a whole 3 days. And it's like, well, there goes that plan. But the critics out there, they're watching. They're taking notes on their little tablet or their notepad. They're writing it down. Yep. King Roberto did this. What an idiot. Yeah. And we're going to keep moving forward. Because sitting still isn't going to get you anywhere, is it? You're not going to build anything just sitting around waiting for it to happen or having a good idea about it. Because if you want to leave anything behind, here's the key. Your name needs to be attached to it if it's going to have any value to you. And I'm not literally saying it, but it could be a family culture, how your family is going to act around one another. It could be a camp tradition. It could be a family business. It could be the project you're working on at work right now, or a relationship that's important to you. Maybe you're coming up with the new standard, or you're making just a decision. Maybe it's that piece of land getting improved instead of neglected. Or maybe it's a group of kids who had a better week because someone cared enough to organize it. And that's the legacy that we're trying to build. That's the legacy that everybody is striving for. Because it doesn't come from what you're not doing or what you thought about doing. It doesn't come from what you thought about doing. It comes from what you actually did and what you actually built. Because nobody inherits your intentions. They inherit what you had the courage to build and what you leave behind. There's a difference between builders and takers. There's two types of people out there. And the older I get, the more I realize it's true. There are people who build. There are people who maintain and who improve things. And then there are people who wait around until something exists, and then they decide that they're entitled to a piece of it. That's not building. It's not leadership. It's not legacy. Waiting for somebody else to do it, and then you say, I want that. It's mine. It's not the way it works, because the builders create the value before they ask to receive it. The takers look at what somebody else created and they ask, why don't I have more of it? What's your V, right? What's your V? The V, value. What is your value to whatever it is you're doing? To your family, to your job, to your friends? What is your value? What are you bringing to the table that is of any significance? Or are you just taking from the table? Are you a builder or are you a taker? You riding on somebody else's coattails or are you blazing your own path? And you know the people when you see them. Because some of them don't want to build the table. They literally do not want to do the work. They don't want to buy the lumber. They don't want to cut the boards. They don't want to sand the edges. They don't want to finish it and make sure that it's stained nice and pretty. They don't want to do all that. They just want to go buy it at the store, right? They just want to show up, not even go. They just don't want to. They don't want to even go to the store. They just want to show up when dinner's served and then complain about the table that they're sitting at. But I mean, really, not everybody needs to build a company or a business or an organization. They don't need to develop property or start a nonprofit or create some massive public Fortune 500 company. They don't need to do any of that. Sometimes building is smarter. You can build a strong marriage. You can build a home where people feel safe. You can build your traditions. You can build trust with your children. You can build a reputation for showing up. You can build a better version of yourself. You can build a reputation of communicating clearly when it matters. You can build a place where people want to gather. The size of the thing matters less than the courage to take responsibility for it. Legacy doesn't have to be loud to be real. But build something. Don't just be the taker. Build something. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions. Stop waiting for everything to be just right. It never will be. One of the sayings about investing is that time in the market beats trying to time the market. What's that mean? It means you got to take the leap. Get in there. Jump in. Jump in and be patient and work and grind and do the process and build something. Because you'll always need more money. You'll always need more time. You'll always need more clarity. You're going to find a reason to need more support. You're going to find that you need more permission. Maybe you just need more confidence. But the kicker is that the confidence comes after you take the action, not before it. You don't become a builder by waiting until you feel like one. You become one by starting. And starting means moving forward. The first version of whatever you're doing is probably going to be imperfect. It won't be exactly right. You know what? That's okay. At least you're trying. Build the damn thing anyways. Try. Make your best effort. It doesn't have to be perfect because that just builds on itself. You make a mistake, learn from it. Apply what you learned and what you know to the future when you have that opportunity to build something again. Because perfect conditions are usually just fear wearing a nicer shirt. So you remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. But you do have to ask yourself, what am I only talking about? What am I talking about to myself? What am I criticizing from a distance? For me, I know what it is. It's the T-bar ceiling not having the tiles properly spaced on the edges of the grid. I know what it is. It's everywhere I go. I look at it. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. What am I waiting for someone else to do? Because the world doesn't need more people explaining why things won't work. We got plenty of those people. It needs people willing to make something work, which is what the king does. Right here, baby. The king does it. Anybody who knows me knows this is true. I will try to make something work. And I encourage people who I associate with to also try to make something work. Those people are usually my lifelong friends. Because it needs people who will put their name, their time, their effort, and their reputation into something. That's what building something is all about. Not because it's easy, but because it matters. Here's your royal decree for this week. Stop waiting for perfect. Stop asking for permission from people who aren't going to help you carry the weight anyways. Stop mistaking opinions for contribution. If something matters to you, build it. Build the family. Build the business. Build the tradition. Build the camp. Build the reputation. Build your life. It's not going to be perfect. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It might not be pretty, and that's okay because you're pretty to me. It may not work the first time. It has never worked the first time for me. Well, maybe once or twice. I did start a podcast once. Build the damn thing anyways. Because critics talk about what should exist. Builders leave something behind. King Roberto from the King's Lair. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, check me out on any of my socials or send me an email. I'll be at camp for the next few days, trying to build something. I hope you join me, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.